Bon, all right. So let us begin. This is such a joy coming together at this most auspicious moment, really. We have the winter solstice is at 4:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I believe we're about 12 minutes from the exact moment of the solstice. So that is very exciting, I know. So there's an energy here for us to experience and partake in. And I would just like us all for a moment, if you feel comfortable, closing eyes and coming into whatever position helps with a deeper awareness. Letting a few breaths relieve whatever tension. Maybe do a few stretches. As we prepare for this solstice moment together. And as we move closer and closer to this moment of stillness, that is what the word solstice means, sun standing still. If everyone can mute, please, that would be helpful. Thank you. So in this solstice moment at 4:48, the sun literally appears to be standing still. And it actually does for a few days before and a few days after, but this is the fulcrum. This is the key moment. So I'm so grateful we can be together and increase our awareness of what it is to honor the dark. The solstice is the day of the longest day of darkness. It's the shortest light and the longest dark. So we together, I'm so grateful that we are all here to do this together, to honor the dark, the first all creation comes from. And also to take a moment as we open to feeling together, knowing we're safe in our homes or wherever we are. Sometimes the dark evokes fear. And if that is the case, allow the fear to be there and stretch wider than the fear. Incorporate, encompass, embrace the fear in our awareness. Is coming very, very quickly after this longest day of dark, this longest time of darkness. So in a way, the solstice can be seen as the birth of light as well. Because every day from here will continue a building more and more light each day until the summer solstice on June 21st. And if we can take a moment and just feel one another on this call. Just extend those heart feelers. And just send a feeling of love, of appreciation, of care, of acknowledgement to each one on this call, each one who has chosen to show up and be present for this. this podcast, this celebration of light, of dark, because ultimately we can hold them both. So in this moment, let us hold the dark and the light together. Because they always exist together, one emanating out of the other, emanating out of the other in a constant cycle of light and dark, birth and death, rebirth and death. These cycles that we can depend on, we can trust. And I just want to read a poem as we approach this moment. And I'm not starting the astrology until the solstice moment comes and it goes. So I'm helping to prepare us. And this poem is called Sweet Darkness by David Whyte. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. This world was made to be free in. This world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Sometimes it takes the darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. And the second poem I'd like to read, second and last, is one of my favorites as well. It's called Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. Keeping quiet. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm quails, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go. So for the next 2 minutes, the next 3 minutes, I invite us to enter the quiet, to enter the stillness. In the northern hemisphere, our earth is tilted furthest from the sun. And in the southern hemisphere, it's reversed. So let us abide in this holy darkness, this sweet darkness together. And perhaps listen to what the darkness has to say to us, wants to speak to us in its own way, in its own language. Let us listen together, please. And let us open to receive the blessings of this sweet darkness, of this precious moment in time. And let us give thanks for everything we have, all the blessings we know, all the people in our lives, our pets, all the gifts that bring us joy, that make our lives meaningful. And let us give thanks to all the things that bring us meaning, our work, our sense of what we're here for, our determination to grow and to become free. Let us acknowledge the courage and fortitude that it takes. Of all the obstacles and difficulties we face right now and have faced for a long time. And let us bless together this earth, this precious earth, our home, Gaia, a living, sentient being, beautiful, intelligent, and providing everything that we need, everything that the creatures on this earth need. We give thanks for this precious home. acknowledging the care that it takes to keep her healthy and ourselves healthy on this solstice. Together, we sing a blessing through our hearts to this world and to all the beings that are hurting right now, that are truly in the dark in terms of despair or hopelessness, sense of depression. And consciously, let us bring our hearts and embrace all the beings on this planet who need love, who need help, who need care. Letting them know they are not alone. And out of the darkness is born the light. So I light this candle as a symbol of the light returning through the sun on this planet, and the light within us becoming brighter, becoming stronger as we acknowledge and offer our lives to the light and to the dark, to the light and to the dark equally, because one cannot exist without the other. So we honor the dark and we honor the light within us and in all things. Tare tu tare ture soha. So if we were in person, I would have us get up and dance together in true Saturnalia fashion. This is a pagan holiday that we are celebrating, and it was called Saturnalia by, I believe it was the Greeks and or the Romans, one of the other. And Saturnalia was a time to celebrate Saturn, celebrate the work that had been done, the harvest that had been yielded, the hard work it took to plant and, sow and harvest the year's bounty. So out of that hard work comes this tremendous celebration called Saturnalia that lasts for several days. And on Saturnalia, everything is opposite. Men dress up as women, women dress up as men. The people who are considered the peasants or the slaves, they put on the royal clothes and are treated royally, while the royals hide somewhere, I think. So the consciousness turns things upside down. It's like it's time to do something different here. It's time to move things radically around, change things up. And what's very, very beautiful about this chart on the solstice, the astrological chart, is that it very much suggests surprises. The chart for the solstice is for 3 months. So this is a 3-month prediction or 3-month energetic that we're working with. And that is, expect surprises. There's a real energy in the air of things popping after a long dormant period. The last almost 3 years have been dormant for many, many folks, have been extremely difficult for many, many folks. This solstice and this new moon in 2 days on the 23rd, they come together to initiate a new beginning, new seeds being planted, new ideas springing forth, new people coming into into our lives, new coalitions and communities coming together. Expect the unexpected, but I would say open to the blessings because of Jupiter. At 4:48 today, the moment of the solstice, the sun went into Capricorn. It's the beginning of winter in the northern hemisphere. As the sun went into Capricorn at 0 degrees, it squared Jupiter at 0 degrees Aries. Boom. That is very, very powerful, that Sun-Jupiter square. So what does it say? What does it speak of? Well, it speaks of, squares always speak of tension, conflict, and opportunity, that something has to get done. We have to move. We have to make a decision. There's a discomfort with the energies. So there has to be a way through. We go, yes, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to move. And with the sun in Capricorn, it's about planting new seeds for the future. Capricorn is the builder of the zodiac. Capricorn is concerned with our security, our financial, material security. Do we have enough? Enough food, enough money, enough warmth, enough of the physical, tangible things. Capricorn also wants us to set goals. Now that Jupiter in Aries, that square, modifies the goals of the sun in Capricorn. So it's not just, okay, what do I want in the new year? I want a new car, so I'm going to have to save this amount of money. We go beyond the mundane when the sun in Capricorn squares Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter in Aries brings in an energy of, wait a minute, what are your future hopes and visions? Not only for yourself, but for your loved ones, for your community, for the world. But in Aries, there isn't an energy of self. So Jupiter in Aries basically wants us to get clear on what is important. What do we want to Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Jupiter is in a sign for 1 year. So this is a new 12-year cycle. If you go back to 2010 and look at Jupiter in Aries offers this refreshment. It says, you know what, no matter what these 3 years have been, no matter how bad and awful and all the crap that has come up and everything personally that we've had to deal with, you know, our shadow, the unprocessed emotions, that has been very prominent. And that will continue to be prominent for the next few years, that we're needing to cleanse, we're needing to clear, we're needing to release the old, outdated, outworn thought patterns, belief systems, relationships, toxic work environments. The whole thing must go. Jupiter in Aries is like the trumpeter blowing his trumpet, heralding a new dawn. We are heralding a new dawn. So Jupiter is saying, think big. Our spiritual teacher, Cedar Rinpoche, often says, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, he says. And that's what Jupiter in Aries says. Nothing is impossible. Go for it. Go for it. Jupiter in Aries gives us courage. It gives us fortitude. It gives us a feeling of optimism. And don't we need that? Couldn't we all use a more optimistic view? And that's the key here. Jupiter in Aries is about us cultivating that optimistic view, not based on, some airy-fairy nonsense, but based on what is really true in our heart of hearts, in that deeper reality. So we are invited at this time to go there. Now, one thing that's critical as we celebrate this solstice, celebrate the dark and then the birth of light, is understanding that this does bring up the shadow very, very strongly. Always, when the days have increased darkness, the shadow increases as well. So hopefully, anyone who's been on this call before knows we've been doing shadow work for months and months, for years, and we continue. We continue to welcome the shadow. We continue to acknowledge that we all carry a shadow, that we all carry unconscious feelings, thoughts, memories, beliefs that are filled with dread and fear and rage and all the stuff that, we've pushed down, that we don't want to feel, that isn't comfortable, that isn't acceptable in this culture. So as we open gently, like daily, welcoming the shadow, I've recommended during this time upon awakening, doing our practice, our breathing, our connecting, and then welcoming the shadow, welcome those icky feelings. And slowly, slowly, we get to know this shadow, and we get to accommodate the shadow, because the shadow, when it's unconscious, pulls strings like puppets. So we are not in control. We are not in charge when the shadow takes over. So the more conscious we can make our shadows, the more conscious control we have over our decisions and our life. So the making the shadow more conscious is very, very important, as well as establishing a deep, compassionate, tender relationship with the little ones inside, with those parts, those shadowy parts that are hurt, that are in need of healing. So that's the other part of opening and creating, developing the space to accommodate, to feel the shadow, to what is this? Where is it coming from? What's the truth? Always with the shadow, we need to understand it and then bring the truth. So then bringing in this beautiful, unconditional, empathetic feeling, no matter what comes up, we say, it's okay. I am here with you now. We can see the shadow even as the traumatized child within. That's one way of seeing. Another way of seeing the shadow is a dysregulated nervous system. So on a daily basis, to do our breathing, to be aware of our thinking, one of the most important things we can do during this time is be aware of our thoughts, especially with Mars in Gemini retrograde for all these months. Mars, the energy of action in Gemini, the sign of thinking, communicating, discursive thinking, retrograde, looking at our own. Mars is not very nice about it initially. I don't know if you've been feeling it, but it almost feels like I'm accosting myself, like it's such a harsh feeling when I pay attention to the uncomfortable moments that my own self-talk is revealing. And in those moments, not to be shocked or appalled. How could this be? Like, well, no, this is. And again, to reach out with gentle kindness. I feel you. I hear you. You are not alone. I am with you now. It's okay. It's okay. We're safe now. So there are many ways to calm a dysregulated nervous system. And I recommend for any of us who, are finding that these times are triggering some intense experiences, and we could use some help. These methodologies are just beautiful. They're simple. I talked about the breathing in 4, breathing out 7, extending the exhalation. Whatever we can do to extend that exhalation, even changing our physical posture. If we notice we're collapsed or kind of down, to take a posture of openness, to take a posture of strength. It's amazing how the body and mind really are one. And the mind always influences the body, and the body also influences the mind. So we can change our mind by changing our body. I've been doing Qigong now, only 7 minutes a day. I can't tell you how that's changing my body, especially the tension in my neck and shoulders, the chronic tension. And I noticed that after I do it, my mind also feels quite refreshed. So there are simple ways to intervene as we watch our mind through the day and notice when we need help. And when we notice that we need help, we give ourselves like 5 stars, because just noticing that we need help is huge. Noticing when we're kind of getting in trouble. Notice when we're starting to lose ourselves in a thought pattern that loops over and over, or a feeling that just is kind of taking us down. So being vigilant and knowing Mars in Gemini, retrograde, you have choice. Take it. Take it. Because if we don't choose what it is, how we wish our minds to be during the day, that is intentional living. How do we wish our minds to be during the day? I'm so happy and grateful now that my mind is peaceful, now that my mind is centered in my body, in my heart, in my solar plexus, in my womb, in my hara. And simply bringing, I learned this from our beautiful priestess on the call, Ariana Newcomer, who is just a font of wisdom and knowledge. Simply by bringing one's hand to the heart, the other hand to the womb, and breathing, connecting to the earth. Really bringing that anchoring down, bringing that anchoring cord root down into the heart of the earth, the center of the earth, and connecting to that, and then connecting to the heart of the universe, which some astrologers call the galactic center at 26 degrees Sagittarius. This is a huge vortex that is just constantly taking things in and spewing things out. So this galactic center, where there's a constant birth and death, where things go and things come, it's so mysterious. We can connect to the heart of the universe, the heart of the earth, know where we stand, know where we are at any given moment, no matter what's going on around us, we can make the decision to keep coming back to our intention for peace, for centeredness, for coming back to the heart, coming back to our own innate knowing, our own wisdom. I mentioned this many times the past months. It really is our own inner wisdom and our own sovereignty that we're going for now. We're pulling away from the 2000-year age of Pisces, which was very much about, having a teacher and the students, having the expert and having us, having authorities out here and then us. The whole thing is shifting. We become the authority for us. We become the wisdom keepers and wisdom bringers for this world. We are creating this new world through our thoughts and through our feelings. Every moment of every day. So the more conscious we can be of it, the better. And when those shadowy thoughts come, when those triggers come, when the rage comes, when the feelings burst, when everything, all the shit hits the fan, that's the moment to really pay attention. Because there's something to look at. There's some shadow, there's some wound that is coming to the surface that needs our care, that needs our healing. Sometimes it's a belief system that we get to know and that we get to investigate and say, one of the most powerful phrases we can ask ourselves is this true? Is this true? And then we can come to a new choice. We make a new choice. And with our beautiful new moon in 2 days in Capricorn, Capricorn is very much about being one's own authority, one's own inner author. Capricorn is the sign of the father, the sign of the boss. But we become the boss of ourselves, and we own our inner masculine. We own that part of us that determines what we want and what we don't. That's able to say yes and able to say no equally, the boundaries. Without Capricorn and Saturn, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have boundaries. Jupiter would have eaten up anything that the earth could have become way back. So Saturn came in at just the right time to curtail that not only, it was just a never-ending ball of fire that Jupiter had become, and Saturn held it in orbit so that it could actually be of benefit. And now it's one of our greatest benefits, Jupiter. So there are blessings to be had. There's also a need to really take responsibility. 5 planets are in Capricorn for this new moon: the sun, the moon, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto, the planet of power. So we're being asked to get serious about what's important to us and set our goals. Always at a new moon, we set goals, we set intentions. But again, with this square that to Jupiter, it's not just about the Capricorn goals. What do I want to accomplish, and what do I want to, what's my 5-year plan and my 10-year plan? Jupiter says, what will make you free? What will make you free? What will give you growth? What will cause you to expand? How can you go into new arenas and gain confidence and courage? So that's the energy for the next 3 months. Now, I will say that when the new year hits, the world new year, this is the new year, for astrologers and for many people, is this solstice. But when January 1st hits, both Mars and Mercury will be retrograde. Mercury is going retrograde December 29th. It'll be retrograde for 3 weeks. So we start the new year 2023 off internal, with more of an internal focus. So even though we feel this sense of let's go after the solstice, we're not quite going. There's going to be a feeling of no, not yet. Don't do it. No, not so fast. Just take it easy, and make sure like your plans are correct. Make sure things are set for you to start this new thing. Make sure you've completed what you need to complete before you go off in this new venture. So there's a certain completing that is going to be taking place at the beginning of the month. So what do I suggest for this period of time? Don't push it. Let yourself rest. Feel what you want and need. There may be bursts of energy, excitement, and then there may be moments of deflation and no energy. It's going forward and back. So we modulate ourselves, right? Listening, careful. I would try to eliminate as many like duties and obligations as possible. Do what you feel you have to, and do what you feel like you want to, all while listening to what your energy and your body can handle. I feel like our bodies are recovering from this 3-year, not only COVID epidemic, but as one of my fellow astrologers, Rick Levine, puts it, an epidemic of fear. COVID created a lot of fear. And there's a need to really acknowledge that our nervous systems may need more regulation, more care. And even with one another, I'm feeling like, to go the extra yard, to go the extra mile, to go the extra 100 miles, understanding that everyone may be feeling that. And we can be generous with those who might be short with us or unkind, understanding that there's a lot going on under the surface for so many. So for us to do this work, for us we provide for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for the world. So I want to just check my time. Oh, I'm doing very well. I'd like to talk a little bit about Pluto. Pluto, the United States is having its Pluto return, as some know. It's this year. At the end of the month, on the 29th, will be the final exact Pluto hit. Now, Pluto is very slow moving, so you could say, doesn't really matter the exact day, because we're in it, we're feeling it. So what is this Pluto return that the United States is in? And the United States being a beacon for the world, it really does. The United States influences the course of the world. So what we do is important. And the Pluto return, it's a 248-year cycle. The last time this happened was on our birthday, 1776, when we became a country. So this is our first Pluto return. Pluto went all around the zodiac and is right back to where it was when we first became a country. What is Pluto in Capricorn asking us now? It's really asking us to completely revamp our systems. It's asking us to put to death the systems that don't work, that aren't equal, that aren't just, that aren't fair. that don't, that the systems that do not take into account all life on this earth. I'm very heartened to hear of our Native American peoples working with our government. And we have a Native American Secretary of the Interior. I'm not sure of one of the secretaries, and also our parks. The head of the parks, national parks, is Native American, and they are working with our government to institute regenerative plans, regenerative agriculture, looking at systems, looking at how to honor the earth and how to work with the earth so that we can come more and more into balance. And that to me is like one of the signs of this Pluto return, that we're actually returning back to when the native peoples lived and were sovereign here and are returning to their sovereignty. I remember when I found out about the Native American travesty in the 1970s, I thought, how is this possible that I didn't know about this until now? And when I researched it, it seemed like many of the native peoples were still dispirited from the whole thing. Hadn't really come back into their power. And over the last 20 years, I've just felt a complete shift where the native peoples are honoring themselves, and we are honoring them as well and their wisdom. And that's what it's about. It's about honoring that real primordial ancestral wisdom, the wisdom that works. Well, wisdom always works. So it's that wisdom that we are asked to return to, and then bring this wealth of information and knowledge to our circumstances. There's an inner technology that we're all equipped with. And I have a feeling in the next 10 years, we're going to start to experience the reality of how vast our inner technology is. Maybe we won't need smartphones. Maybe we won't need devices to communicate. Maybe we'll just know how to directly communicate. So the sense of possibility, that is really what I want to stress during our time together. That anything is possible. This sense of possibility, the sense of unexpected miracles. Seeds have been sown for a long time by many on this Zoom call and by many on this earth. And the seeds will start to have little sprouts coming up in this next year, 2023. And I think that'll give us more hope to continue for those who have lost hope. And for those who have hope and feel like there is very much a movement into a whole new reality, and know that you are the gatekeepers. We are the ones that are here at this time to usher in this new age, as messy as this birth is, as painful as it can be, as scary, as dangerous, because that's birth. So we are birthing a whole new age. So understanding systems are falling, the systems are being born. Where are we in this whole thing? And it is time to come together with our tribes. So putting it out to the universe. If you're not with your tribe where you are right now, putting it out, let me find my tribes people, either online or in person, because the energy is very much now bringing us all together to do the work that we're here for. So I'd like to just offer some thoughts, some questions that you might want to consider in this moment, in this solstice time for the next month. Again, this new moon is on the 23rd of December in 2 days. So today, tomorrow, this period of time, the next 3 days, so powerful to spend as much time in stillness. And tonight, if you can, turn out all the lights, if you feel you can do that, turn out all the lights and just be in the darkness for a while. And again, there's like a claiming. We can claim this holy dark. We don't need to fear it. We can claim it. We can abide in it with all of its, little niggly fears or whatever. It's okay. I am here. I am here. So some questions during this time to ask is, where is my next adventure? Where and what is my next adventure? And that you just put out, right? We're not expected to know what that is right now. And if you do, congratulations, you're very prescient, but that's not expected. And then what's in the way of going for my next, whatever it is? Is there anything in the way of my next? So we just check. Anything there that might interfere with us moving on? Because it very much is a time of moving on. And then ask, what part of us, when it's triggered, needs our love and care? What part of us, when we are triggered, needs our love and care? On the 23rd, in 2 days, Chiron, the wounded healer, will be going direct, stationing direct in Aries. This intensifies. Any planet that stations retrograde or stations direct is more intense. The energy is felt more prominently. So what we may be feeling on that day, the 23rd, or of pain and wounding coming up and being triggered at this time. And Chiron, the wounded healer, there's the medicine is in the wound. That is the irony and the about Chiron. He holds our wound and the medicine for the wound all within. So if you do feel angry, especially anger, because Chiron in Aries brings up anger over like me, Aries, like my power, this is what I want, this is who I am. So maybe the feeling will be, what do you mean you don't like who I am, or you don't like what I'm saying? It can feel very personal. It can feel lacerating. And that's how you know that you're in touch with the shadow or the wound, and to really connect to that place. What are you needing? What are you needing? Sometimes we can even get a picture of how old we were when that first wound occurred, or when we were first conscious of the wound. It could be 3 years of age, 5 years of age. So be aware of connecting to that, and then offering our own care and healing. There's a beautiful song that I learned years ago when I did some intense inner child healing. And it's a song that we were taught to sing to the part of ourselves that needs comfort, the part that gets so upset, so distraught. And it goes like this. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. So we can make that kind of commitment to those parts that have been so hurt. And we can let them know that we will never forget them. We will never forsake them. And then we don't. And when those feelings come up, we don't forsake them. We don't forget them. So we keep making that intention, and that gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And the last question to consider in this solstice, new moon time. What resources are available to me that I'm not aware of right now? What resources are available to me that I am not aware of in this moment? By putting that question out to this sentient universe, the answers come. There's an engagement with this intelligence that we are directly a part of. So with this Pluto return, we could personally be feeling our own power at odds, that there's something we're not able to connect to. It's somebody, we feel somebody doesn't want us to have our power, or we feel a countering to our power. It's okay. This is all about, through the circumstances, continuing to connect to it, continuing to determine that our sovereignty, our inner power, our inner wisdom, our inner guidance system are non-negotiable. They're non-negotiable. We own it. We're in charge. And there's a great freedom that comes when we do that. We're not as susceptible to all of the external waves and influences. Like the Buddha, the story of the Buddha who was followed around for 3 days by just a horrible person who was taunting, sending taunts and jeers and awful words at the Buddha. And finally, after 3 days of complete, peaceful composure on the Buddha's part, the Buddha is said to have turned to the man and said, you're trying to give me this gift and I am not receiving it. Don't you get it? And the man was like struck immediately by the Buddha's wisdom and energy. And in that moment, it says, the story says that that man was enlightened. But the real object of the story is that, we don't have to receive anything that the world or others put on us or try to put on us. That we have choice. Mars in Gemini retrograde pushes the point. It pushes the point. So if our thinking has been tough, difficult, negative, harsh, punitive, that's the downside of Gemini. That's the other twin. Gemini are the twins, the divine twin and the human twin. They're brothers. And the human twin is not happy that he is not divine. So he can cause trouble. So we look at the troublemakers in our own minds, and we work with it. And as we do that, things open up. Sometimes miraculously, because that's the power of this time. So I feel like I want to dance with you all. So in my heart, I'm dancing with you all. And I don't know, maybe I'll just open it up.